earlier. My topic for today is going to be on smart buildings, empowering energy efficiency, decarbonation, and net zero. Let me tell you, all net zeros are not good. Okay, I have one on top of my head. I'm not very proud of. But we're going to talk about smarter cities, smarter buildings, and net zero is going to take precedence over there. So welcome, Vinod. We spoke about cities earlier in the earlier panel, and for making these smart cities work, we need to have infrastructure which includes a lot of smart buildings. So my first question is going to be to Vinod sir and Hiten sir. From a professional perspective, how would you define a smart building? And any particular challenges that you regularly face in designing a smart building? So either one of you can go first.
So I think what do you mean by smart building? Is it
Just your general perspective about.
So I think smart is all about efficiency, user experiences, and the right balance. So most of the time, smart buildings are confused or misunderstood as a technologically superior buildings with lots of tech things happening all around, which creates the best efficient results for the life cycle of the buildings, performances of the buildings, and user experiences. But I feel the smart buildings only can come into the right, you can say, analytics if there is a good passive smart architecture or design which has to be followed before you actually start thinking about the technology part. So as an architect, I think my endeavors have always been like, I think first we should pay right importance to understanding the needs of the building, client's requirements, optimize the circulations and all those particular things in a most effective way, then get into the planning part of it, see the climatological and impact of that particular building to the environment or the impact of the surroundings to the building, then get into the technological part of it, then talk about the OPEX and CAPEX of the same technology, what is being going to. So it's not just one line use of technology, it's a whole process which a person needs to do to get a right kind of balance, to get the right kind of optimized results, to get the maximum life cycle of a particular user experience and the building. And that is, I think, what the smartness is all about.
Thank you. Vinod? Yeah, you can. But yeah, ma'am.
Thank you, Hitenji. As architect Hiten told you about what is smart. So according to me, when we talk about smart, so unless we are not green by principles, unless we don't look into the efficiency aspect of means optimization of resources and how we manage it responsibly, unless we don't look into those aspects, we are not smart. Because smart is something which has to be more inclusive. So where it is not the role of only the designers, only the role of engineers, but also the building tenants who are staying in the building. So it is a involvement and integration of all the systems, all the people who all are stakeholders on board. So this is what smart is about. So definitely technology matters, but it is also the behavior of the people. So smart is something you can correlate. One is the smart behavior when makes a building smart, and when a smart technology makes a building smart. So it is very, very important to look into the synergy of both the aspects. So if your technology is smart but behavior is not smart, the people who are living in the building, so building can't be smart. So this is what he said, that performance of the building. So we can't achieve those things. I think we should introduce ourselves, very important.
Oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am.
Yeah. So let me just introduce myself, Dr. Mala Singh, and I represent Indian Green Building Council as a chairperson for Mumbai chapter. I don't know how many of you know about IGBC. Can you raise your hand? Oh, great, 100%, wow. So IGBC, Indian Green Building Council, which is a part of CII, which is a more than 100 years old organization. And I think IGBC is the organization in India who founded this, the green building aspect of, I would say, green building movement in the country. So today we see more than 11 billion square feet green building footprint in the country, which IGBC has propagated from one building in Hyderabad from a starting journey, which is a Shararji Business Center. Today it is a 12 billion almost pan-India, I would say. So once you become green, then you become smart. Because green building is very, very important aspect. Unless we don't look into the green principles, we can't be smart. This is what I want to say. I think now you can ask any question from me.
No, ma'am. The next question is actually for you, but before that, I'd ask Vinod to just say, and maybe he can take time to introduce himself, but I was under the impression that everybody knows everybody over here, so my bad.
Thank
Vinod, my question, I'll just repeat. How would you define a smart building? And any particular challenges that you regularly face while designing a smart building from your perspective?
Yeah, thank you so much. This is Vinod Kapse, a private consulting engineer who does digital buildings and designs building automation and digital buildings for corporate offices and buildings, commercials as well. Basically, smart is a very relative term. If you ask a landlord who has an iPad at his reception and a speed gate at the entrance, may call himself smart, and with right so. If you ask me as a consultant, what is a smart building? Smart building is something which gives exceptional outcomes from the entire perspective of the user, the owner, and the facility manager, which will give the entire outcome, which can bring the cost down, which can ensure sustainability of its products, and ensure user experience for anybody who uses that building, right from a visitor to the owner to the facility manager. That I would call it as smart. If you ask me technically, then the interrelation between the four basic components of any particular building, like a structure, its systems, its entire management, the correlation between all these structures put together and giving it the required efficiency, would call it a smart.
I think it's a very good answer. My next question is to Mala ma'am. Given a background with green building, and that's what you mentioned, a building has to be green first and then smart. Basically, policymakers and industry bodies like INBAC or ISHRE and IGBC, they're the ones who guide the relevant stakeholders, like let's say a consultant, an architect, or a builder, towards any positive revolution, like a smart building or a green building.
Definitely. I think before I look into the policy interventions, it is very, very important to understand that why we are using this terminology smart and green. I think all of you who are sitting here, we know that the way the Mother Earth is, facing the challenges of climate change and global warming. Even we human beings are facing that. So this is where the government is also, coming, I would say the policy intervention has become very, very important for the government also, because of not just from the international pressure, but also if you look into the resource availability, resource efficiency, there are so many factors, which are basically encouraging or empowering government also to look into these policies. Because if we see right now, the 1.5 degree, which we are assuming that from the pre-industrial limits, we are going to increase the Earth's temperature. So don't you think that the policy interventions are important?
Absolutely.
The first thing is that. And I don't know how many of you, I think you know that COP26, COP27 and COP28. Now COP28 just happened in Dubai. And in COP26, when our Honorable Prime Minister has given a commitment of becoming net zero by 2070, just in the same tone, other countries also has done the commitment. Some countries said that 2050, we said 2070. So now what happened then, government also thought that what should be the policy? So how we can encourage some smart and green buildings in our country or net zero buildings in our country. So the idea of incentives or benefits, just to encourage the stakeholders, because always there are two types of people. One is which always want some profit and benefit, then they want to follow green principles or smart principles. And on the other side, some are doing voluntarily also. But in India, we know that we have little, that chalta hai attitude, like we feel that if we get some incentive, we will do green. But actually not doing green is a stupid thing, that also we know. So this is what the government has brought very good policies now in place. One is there are incentives to the builders, which is a FSI benefit. floor space index, which is built up area you may increase. Like if you have a platinum rating, you can have 7% extra floor space index ratio. If you have gold, it is a 5%. If it is a silver, so you have 3%. So all the non-MMR region and MMR region and government of Maharashtra, specifically I'm telling you, if you see the 2020 DCR of 300-page document, so this is well defined, this incentive there. So not only Maharashtra, but pan-India basis. If you see other states also like Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Punjab, Himachal even, there are many states which we have these benefits by the government itself. So I would say, central government is also giving a push and trying to encourage, stakeholders through these fiscal benefits, and also regional government like state government, they are also coming with such policies which are more, I would say, encouraging to the otherwise developers,
Very
will
true.
not think so much about green, because once they see the benefits, so that is the first thing I would say to encourage them.
Right. So you're saying a top-down approach, but a 360 involvement of every stakeholder will
Exactly,
drive this
exactly.
revolution, right? Okay,
Yeah.
my next question is to all the panelists, and maybe I can ask, starting from Vinod and then Hiten sir to you, ma'am. And Harun sir mentioned this in the earlier panel, that HVAC has always taken a precedence in a smart building. And lately we have seen HVAC and lighting are always in focus when speaking on net zero or decarbonization. But do you perceive that we need more focus on and technology interventions on subjects of water, waste management, and maybe also safety? So Vinod, starting with you first.
Thank you. Yes, of course, Tushar. I'm doing building design for building automation for commercial and business for last maybe 17 to 18 years now. If you look at our tenders that we were doing designing in early 2010s, 12s, 70% of the building automation cost was related to HVAC. So they were more concerned on doing chiller management, plant management for chillers, like HVAC controls, which were not where human intervention was not possible to do. Only there people used to spend for an automation. You need a DDC controller for controlling HVAC, measuring statics, opening chill water valves, measuring temperature, chill water temperatures. And there was predominantly 70 to 80% of the cost of the BMS system was related to HVAC systems only. But if you look at today, there is considerable paradigm shift in terms of thought process of building owners as well. We're saying that that's one part of automation, but we want all other parts as well. I want to know. I want to make the floor easy for my occupants. Or I want to make the floor more comfortable for my occupants. If I am sitting in my room, the user is not bothered whether the chiller is delivering water at 7 degrees or returning at 10 degrees or not. He is bothered whether his room is clearly maintained. Can I control my room temperature? Can you give me an app where I can set my room temperature? I have a curtain behind. I don't want sun falling on my table. Can I control my curtain? Okay, that user interface in terms of building automation has increased multifold from what it was before. People would not even imagine this 10, 12, 20 years back. So that's one major aspect. Second is that when you talk of sustainability, it starts from the building construction, the material that you are trying to build. To put in a very simple term, 1 kg of concrete, to manufacture 1 kg of concrete, it generates 1 kg of CO2. It is as simple as that. Okay? So right from every construction equipment that you bring into the building, before construction, the embodied carbon footprint for building, for construction of a building first. Let's talk about running a building later. Construction of a building, the entire carbon that you generate for constructing the building, the embodied carbon content of every material that you intend to use, whether you are using that's what should be the prime focus if you want to look at 2070 or 2050. There's a lot of difference between Europe and India. Europe, to meet 2050 guideline, as Dr. Mala rightly said, would be much simpler because they are already developed. India it's in the phase of construction. We are going to emit. We cannot stop. Correct? We are going to construct buildings. We are going to construct plants. Look at the manufacturing today. You'd be surprised to see so many Indian companies manufacturing. I was going through some document yesterday which said there are 8 or 9 Indian companies manufacturing home speaker and home building home music systems, correct? Tell me 20 years back, we were depending on Bosch, audio, speech audio, and we are talking of all imported brands, German brands for speakers. There are 10 Indian professional audio manufacturers in India today. Correct? So we are going to manufacture. We are not going to stop manufacturing. Okay. So offsetting, however we do, that's part. But today's focus is to manufacture, to build India and generate things. So yes, it requires to look at right from building construction onwards, and then how you operate your building, how to minimize your building expense, how you reduce your HVAC load. So everything that you want in a building will emit carbon. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
Correct? Lighting controls. Lighting controls. I've seen so many lighting control manufacturers coming in. How to optimize on lighting. How to use harvest on sunlight. How to keep your glass facades open. How to minimize your heat gain into the glass facade. So every factor is going to impact, and that's where we are going to walk towards the dream of 2070 or 2080, whatever it is.
Yeah. Hiten sir, as an architect, obviously water management or waste management
Yeah, I
also.
think your question was simple in terms of the industry has been pushing HVAC for a long time. And what I think we want to say is that we have not been pushing water management and waste management to that particular level of the commercial push what we have from the HVAC side. I think it's as simple as that. Well, problem here now, we actually create problems and then we try to find solutions. Amer Fort, Rajasthan, extreme climates of Ladakh, they have their own habitats which created architecture. We never used to talk about technology. They had their own ways of cooling. They had their own ways of thermal controls, double wall jalis, a complete shoot from zero level to the top of the fort. They had their own technologies and they had their own ways without using any of the energies which we use now, which have become the most startling point for all of us for our next generations. पहले तो simple था ही ना, तो miss out क्या हुआ? So the commercialization came in. HVAC, as everybody said, even in the last thing, they started pushing about technology, about air conditioning and thermal controls and all those kind of things. Right. But as a designer, how can I say my right hand has to function nicely and my left hand cannot function? Or I'll start using this later on. Design does not speak this language. Design speak a very simple language, and what Dr. Mala said, it has to bring a very stable kind of algorithm about usage of all the factors involved in building industry in a most appropriate way. I remember 2010 when I was doing NMMC head office at Navi Mumbai. The same question was there. We were all talking. Everybody was telling me about AC karenge, central AC karenge, and I was thinking, why do you want to do AC? You will be surprised though the offices are air conditioned, but the central atriums we have actually worked out a draft of air, and it is a non-air conditioned area, and still the ambient temperature every time is around 25 degrees there. I invite you to go and see how the atriums are working without air conditioning. I have done so many projects where I have, become, and out of the total square feet, we have reached as high as 400 square feet per ton with these kind of interventions where the passive design is introduced before we actually talk about technology. Similarly, wastewater management, we had the Khara Pani next to the in CBD Belapur on that particular plot with our rainwater harvesting interventions in a different time, not only storage and using, but usage of sleeves in such a way that the silt content of the water can be reduced. And in last 10 years, we have actually mandated the whole thing and audited the whole thing. Now the water quality has become more usable in terms of what it was 10 years back. Waste management, we are using the waste from the canteen and converting into biogas in a very small way. Terry had actually put too much of time on us to introduce that particular thing. So all these particular systems are talking to each other. My STPs are giving me water where I'm using 100%. There's zero discharge of recycled water because I'm using it in my air conditioning system. When you see a particular project or when you come to a particular opportunity where you have to wear, I don't think there was any scarcity of technology available at any given time. It was only the intent of use of this particular these kind of technologies by the designers who have designed the building. The SCADA for water management and this particular thing is existing right from 2010. How many municipal corporations pan-India have used SCADA 14 years back, 15 years back? So I really don't think, I think it's more of awareness and the intent which is required to use these particular things now in whatever inverted commas of FSI limitations and use of optimization of land to make sure that the building is intelligent, it's ageless, and it's responsible to our environment.
100%. I think I'm in fully agreement with architect Hiten Sethi. So, but if we, I think I'm saying with the music now, music is also there in the background. So when we say, you know, any building green or smart, first thing is to know about a simple definition. What is the definition, that how do I define it as a green building? Let me tell you, IGBC has defined this definition so simply and so beautifully in resonance with the 5 elements of Mother Earth, which is a Panch Tattva. I think everyone who are sitting here, they know these 5 tattvas, right? So when we talk about energy, so we address fire, Aag, Agni. So this is what the first aspect of Panch Tattva we define in a building, which in the form of energy efficiency. And when we talk about energy efficiency, we always say that if we need a smart building, it has to be a pyramid approach. This is what Mr. Sethi has explained. And when we say the pyramid approach, that means through passive approach and through active approach. So when we talk about passive, that means when they look into the design of our architecture teams, first thing is they look into the optimization of the resources. So they look into the optimization from the beginning itself. Then slowly, you know, when you look into the active approach for the balanced consumption, then in the active approach, you look into your green supply chain, where you look into the technologies which can save energy, which are 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, you know, which are more smarter. Smarter means when you achieve efficiency, you save resources. This is what the smart meaning is actually. And this is what the need of the hour also. So once you reduce the resources through passive energy consumption, and then you look into the active through smart technology interventions, then you know your pyramid completes, and whatever the balanced consumption remains, you use green energy resources on site or off site. So that takes you through the net zero energy journey actually.
Thanks, ma'am.
Yeah.
So I had actually 2 more questions which are written
Yeah.
down, but thankfully all of you have covered that, okay? And I see the timer is kind of hinting that we kind of call this to an end. Milind mentioned that India is growing as a big economy, and it's going to need, Milind in the earlier panel mentioned that India is becoming a bigger economy in terms of size, which is going to need a lot of resources and a lot of comfort. And what I see in this panel and what I see in this room is a lot of knowledge, a lot of awareness which is there about smart buildings, smart cities, and you spoke about the multiple elements which need to be addressed. Vinod spoke about materials, Sir spoke about water waste management. I think the future of India looks good. It's just that we need to pool in our resources and guide the right stakeholders towards achieving smarter buildings and then henceforth smarter cities. I will take this couple of minutes left. If the audiences have any questions for the panelists, it would be great to hear from you. I see a raised hand over there. Can somebody help the gentleman with the mic? Yes, sir.
Hello. Good afternoon, panelists. My name is Balaji. This is for Mala Singh ma'am. We just mentioned about additional FSI being given for IGBC buildings. So is this basically a premium free FSI that you get, or you have to pay the premium for getting that FSI also?
Yeah. So if you see the DCR and some notifications are there online, it is clear cut says that it is on the base FSI. So whatever the base FSI is applicable to your project, you can connect your local municipal corporation or sanction authority and can submit your pre-certificate. We call it pre-certification. So you have to submit that and they will consider your case and they will give you the incentive in your sanction plan itself, with that green incentive component.
It's
Thank
without the premium.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else with a question from the audience? Okay, then great. I am done on time, and I would like.
But
Yeah.
I like to just on
So
your last
sorry.
statement which you said, you said the future of India looks good. I don't agree with that.
That's always good in the panel.
The-
Disagreement.
The business opportunities in India definitely looks good, but the way we are expanding without the proper reforms and structuring, you can note down that we are not doing good. Our Prime Minister, which Malaji was saying that 2070 is the kind of timelines he has given for us becoming net zero, I think is too liberal. 2014, Mala and me, we were in Singapore Green Building Council, and we were talking to Canadians, we were talking to Japanese who had their targets of net zero coming to 2030. And with the kind of population explosion we are facing right now, we being the largest populated country in the world, 2070 means that you are looking at lots of cases like Bangalore where you have dry-ups. You have, I mean, I can't even imagine if you see the analytics about water, you see carbon dioxide, you see the water, air quality, water quality. If you just do a basic Excel calculation also, I really don't think it's good.
I agree with you because we were on the 10th number in carbon emissions. Now we are on the second. Or very soon we can be on the first also after China. So
So, sir, we can keep our
things
fingers
are very
crossed.
scary also.
We can keep our fingers crossed.
Business-wise, all of us are going to do good. That way I'm
Yeah.
sure.
No, but a very valid point. And thank you very much. And thank you for the audience. Thank you for Inback for making this panel very nice.
Thank you so much,
Over to
Tushar. Can I ask a question to Dr. Mala actually? Something very interesting that I'd like to ask. Obviously, as you see, Mumbai is redeveloping everywhere you go. Our building personally is going for redevelopment as well. Obviously, you've got builders coming in and putting in their tenders across and everything. Now, at the society member level, okay, when you talk about getting an IGBC building done, you know, green certified building, society members themselves are not aware of it. And they're committee members who are, say, 60 plus. Where does the education level actually happen? Does it happen at the society member level? Or does the builder come in and say, hey, listen, I think having a green building will be a much more sustainable idea because, again, this building is not something that will last you 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Society members are not going to say anything about it, neither are the builders even pitching in. And the builders know it's going to cost them a lot more money. So that's one of the biggest reasons they're not even opting for the idea and they keep their mouth shut. So how do we bring, I mean, I would say someone who's in their mid-30s, how would we bring the change at a level like this?
Sure. Thank you so much. It is a very, very important question. So when you say the green certification program, like for green homes, let's say, so that is very limited to just building design and it is very limited to the material procurement, you know, what the builder is basically looking into the material construction and then, of course, once operation comes and he handed over to the society. Your question is after that, what happened to that building and how the society members are involved in the process of, you know, the...
How do you educate them on the
Yeah.
benefits of getting an IGBC
Yes.
building done?
Yes,
Because
yes.
obviously we see long-term benefits, but people who are, say, 60 plus, 70 plus, there's a lack of education there and they
So
are
it
not
is
so equally
It is
involved.
a part of the green education. In IGBC, we have a national committee and we have a chapter level committees also, where we are looking into a lot of community initiatives and we are doing a lot of programs which are community centric, where we invite these associations, residential welfare associations, and not only that, we have a GRS rating available for the existing society also, and I am the chairperson for that also,
Right.
for national level. So we have launched that standard for housing society in 2015 already, and
But I
there
tell
are a
you-
lot of examples in India.
Beautiful. I look forward to going to the website and
Sure.
getting some
I
more
must-
information out of
check
it.
that.
I must
Yes, you can.
compliment Dr. Mala and Bhavesh Bhai, who's sitting right there. Like you said, how they do it, I've seen her going to societies herself
We do a lot of...
to propagate
Yes,
these
beautiful.
principles for everything. She has even gone to the flat owners telling up अपना एक solar panel लगाइए.
Yes.
Bhavesh Bhai is going to schools and colleges to make them understand at that level of third grade to seventh grade that what is the importance of these particular functions. So I think everybody should give them a
I think
big
we
hand.
should give them a big, big round of applause. I think it's so important because it's not, I mean, it can be the greatest achievement sitting on a panel and discussing about it, but actually going to the ground level and educating people,
Yeah.
that's where the real challenge lies. And if you all are
And
actually doing it,
I
it's
would
fantastic.
request you and including everyone sitting here, please follow a page on LinkedIn, IGBC Mumbai chapter. So we have lot of programs which we are doing for societies and community, which are already published there, and you will have a lot of insights from there.
Thank you for creating the
already
awareness
there.
on this platform. I
Yeah.
absolutely appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would also
Thank
take
you.
this opportunity to request INBAC to work on digital building indexing. Okay, that's the most important fact because you really don't know which building is smart and which building is not. Other than energy conservation aspects, like the smart building should complement other sustainable acts like LEEDs or BREEAM or Neighbors from Australia or wells. In fact, wellness should also be a part of that, not only
Yes.
energy conservation. That's important.
No,
And
they are already the part.
and indexing in terms of in terms of which building should be rated at what level. So which building needs what, and what is the indexing of smart building? How can you define a smart building? Maybe you can rate it as gold, silver, platinum, which is already there in US and Europe, where the developer also benefited by getting that rating. The tenants are getting benefited. They say yes, we would like to come to a building which is gold rated in terms of digitalization, in terms of connectivity, in terms of user interface and all. So I think India should work largely, organization like this should work largely on digital building indexing. That's what I feel is a need of this hour. And standardization of protocols. Like you see so many stalls there. The owner of the property developer is confused what to buy. What is right and what is not. There is a technology today, whether it sustains for tomorrow. What is
Yeah.
future readiness of technology? I think those aspects are still open and vacant, and we need to work around this in getting the
I
standardization.
love how the conversation can be never
Just
ending from
1
that
minute,
perspective. Yes.
I'll applaud your thoughts, sir.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
The last 1.5 year, INBAC Association in collaboration with IIT Madras has been working on smart indexing project, which will be soon released in October 18th and 19th in Pune.
Very nice.
Thank you,
very much to
Sakima.
know about.
Absolutely. Communication technologies like Haystack, Brick Schema, I think building automation guys here can understand, going little detail in technology. That's the point is you are getting the data, okay? How to read the data and how to utilize that data is very important. People are just talking of getting data. The ontology, the abbreviation, if there are 100 buildings and there are 1,000 devices in each building, how would you segregate that data? Then the abbreviation, the ontology, these everything in terms of international bodies doing haystacks and brick schemas. I think that we should work towards that and get a common platform here so that everybody will have a plug and play device. I don't need to think whether this is talking to B, A is talking to B, B is talking to C or not. I just pick up a device which has 4 digital inputs, 4 analog outputs, which is enough for me. I cut it and I plug it and connect it. That's it to any device. We should reach that level actually. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Vinod.
Just 1 minute I like to add.
Sure.
So it is not only the real estate players, okay, because they hand over and they go. After that, there are facility management companies which are at corporate level. They're also doing a lot of initiative to educate tenants, building tenants under their ESG strategies.